Happy March, Sid.
Hey, so we're here doing a real estate podcast. I do feel kind of bad we don't have Mike Schumann in house. It's off season for the 49ers, but I felt like we had to get in here and get a real estate, lending podcast going. Man, it's crazy out there again.
Weather has turned, and so is the market.
So is the market. Yeah. The reason I kind of wanted to talk about this is I remember the end of last year, like we were even really doing some of these videos or podcasts because it was kind of slow, right?
Sure.
Applications were down, housing, the amount of buyers, there wasn't a ton of offers on really good houses they were, but man, now, I was telling you earlier, I had this offer that was submitted for a property, 500,000, 30 offers. Here we go again.
So 30 offers is insane.
It is insane. Now, I'm not saying every house is going to be like that, but
Sure.
just kind of wanted to think what's going out there? Mortgage applications, a lot of buyers. What are you seeing?
Week over week, mortgage applications have steadily increased, and we're seeing like over 10%, double-digit increase from the same week last year.
Wow.
So that tells you, number one, affordability's improved.
Sure.
We do have lower interest rates, so we have seen an increase in affordability, which has definitely stimulated that. But also, I think there's just a greater sense of demand and maybe desire from a lot of buyers entering this year. We've seen rates stay above 6% for 4 years consistently now, so there was this, I'm going to buy when, and I think people have kind of accepted that.
Yeah.
Rates have come down, again, to the lowest levels in about 3 years. So improved affordability, higher increased demand, but not enough inventory.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? We've been having this inventory talk for a long time. And hyper locally in Sacramento, right? I think we got to really focus on this. A lot of people see all these kind of, big news articles about the country, right? And that does affect us a little bit, but hyper locally in Sacramento, we still have this kind of what you're talking, a pent up demand, right? People have been waiting 3-4 years. I'm just going to wait till that rate kind of ticks down and then I'll take a look.
They're going to wait for prices to come down.
They're going to wait for prices to come down. That hasn't happened. And I think you're right. I think all of this built up demand is kind of like maybe breaking people, right?
Yeah.
And they're just thinking listen, this is going to be the new norm. I need to make a move, okay? My price of my property has, still, I still got a ton of equity if they're going to sell, or if they're new buyers in the market, they're just thinking, rent's still high, things are kind of expensive. I might as well buy and start getting that equity going. I think there's a lot of that going on in Sacramento.
I think the biggest thing that obviously is going to help inventory, is going to be people coming off of their historically low rates and selling their house.
Sure.
Now, typically those sellers also become buyers, so it doesn't really solve the inventory in totality. But I've seen that recently, whereas maybe end of last year, third and fourth quarter last year, we were telling them, hey, it's all right, you can be a contingent buyer in this market.
Yeah.
Now we're back to, hey, we got to come up with a different strategy where you're likely going to need to buy first, sell after. We've had some very unique situations recently where we've been either tapping into equity early or we've seen, putting lower down payment with a plan to recast that loan after. So there are a lot of really smart, good strategies to purchase first, sell your home after. Now the risk in that is your home doesn't sell right away, which in this market now should be less of a risk, right? Considering the homes that are priced correctly, marketed properly, are going to have multiple offers typically within the first few weeks.
And I think that's a great point to sit down with somebody who's experienced in this market to kind of know, all right, here's the scenarios. We've done a handful of these together, right? Where you sit down with people who are looking to sell and buy, right? So they're looking to buy something newer and they want to sell their property and they've got a ton of equity. There's multiple ways to tap into that, right? And I think explaining it to them that most likely, if they do buy the new home and then list their other home, they're probably going to get more of a return on that property because it's going to be vacant, it's going to be staged, it's going to look presentable, right? Where you're not living in the property. And people desire that, right? When
Yep.
they're out looking at properties as buyers, right? They don't want to see all of your stuff typically. They want to kind of make it feel like, hey, listen, if I buy this house tomorrow, I can move in. And I think that gives them better return on investment in the long run. And then they can recast or, borrow from family. We've done some of that stuff.
I think you got to let them see the numbers, because I think a lot of times they get caught up in this extra interest that they're paying, right?
Sure.
So it's the short term, I got double payments or I got this extra interest. But if you show them on the back end, hey, your house can sell for 3, 4, 5% more
Yep.
by, marketing it and presenting it this way in advance, that's going to more than make up for that short-term amount of extra interest. So if a buyer is looking at a home that is, you are expecting competitive offers, you're expecting multiple offers, what else can a buyer do to try to stand out?
Well, I mean, I think right now we're getting back to situations where, potentially removing appraisal contingency, right? And getting pre-qualified, as well as maybe trying to get through underwriting so you can remove that loan contingency, right? When I'm talking to other agents and we've got a lot of offers on the table, if we're representing a buyer or if I'm representing a seller and presenting offers, the less risk is going to help you win, right? So removing those contingencies that basically we're strategically removing those, right? We're just not willy-nilly just throwing it out there. We're saying,
For
hey,
sure.
listen, we've already been through underwriting, or, Nick's got you pre-approved. I know that's going to be a lock, so we can remove those things. The seller is going to notice those things, and that will help, right? Obviously, picking up some of the extra fees, right? Escrow fees, title fees, home warranty, city, county transfer tax does help. But I think having less risk on the seller side when the offers are pretty neck and neck is going to be very important in this market. And, you got to talk to the other agent, do your due diligence, talk to them, see what's coming in. But I think those things are always very important in this kind of type of
Yeah,
market.
you bring up the terms. So, like, if you're representing a seller and you're looking at a few different offers, one's maybe using somebody local, they've got really good terms. The other one's maybe using somebody out of town. Like, is there a dollar amount difference where you're like, hey, is this worth an extra $5,000 that this other buyer is offering, right? Like, how do you normally engage in that conversation with a seller?
Yeah, I think, is there an exact number? No, right? But like if it's $25,000 difference, right? That's maybe something you would take a risk on, right? But if it's $5,000 at the end of the day, I would say that, maybe you don't take that risk, for
Yeah.
instance, right? I mean, you start pushing 10, 15, $20,000. Obviously you want to try to vet that situation before, but in this day and age in real estate, okay, I still think it's vastly important to know the agents, know the lenders you're dealing with here locally, okay, because stuff gets done correctly if that happens, right? We've had all these, I think we're kind of getting hopefully out of all these, part-time agent type of deals, part-time lenders, their brothers, sisters, cousins stuff, right? In this market, we really need to focus on who you're dealing with, having those connections, making sure, and plus stuff gets done in a timely fashion. We're not waiting 45 days.
Well, you just said it. So, like, there's no exact dollar amount. Obviously, it's always up to the seller.
Sure.
But buyers can actually save themselves money by using somebody locally entrusted. Unfortunately, I've had a few cases recently where I have had to take over files that were started with other lenders. Nobody wins in that situation, let me tell you.
Sure.
You brought up the part-time LOs. I mean, anytime, I'm just going to say this controversial statement here.
Yeah.
Anytime I see an LO that uses like a personal email, I already, so this guy sucks, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, oh, it's so-and-so at Gmail. I'm like, you can't be a lender. To me, that's like blatantly a violation of, at a minimum, professionalism. So if I were a buyer out there, I would do my due diligence and make sure that, I'm researching reviews, I'm researching credibility, I'm talking to my agent, I'm talking to other people in an area, I'm looking online, I'm kind of finding out, where am I going to put myself in the best position to not just save $17 because one's credit report was cheaper, but am I going to be able to save, to your point, $5,000 to $10,000 on the back end of a sale price because I used the right person?
And that's the thing. Money is obviously, the sellers always look at the bottom dollar, right? We get net sheets. We all do it. Okay, we look net sheets, but then there's actually a conversation of saying, hey, listen, the less risk here we have, right? If we have a lender we don't know, or if we have, who knows who they're going to use for inspections, right? A lot of the really good agents around here, we're using very, skilled professionals who've been around a long time, who don't have, inspector@gmail.com, who doesn't know basically a foundation of a property, or, peer post that we have a lot.
Even that, some type of plumbing or wiring is typical for an area, right? Versus, oh man, this is a big deal. But again, it's, if you knew that neighborhood and you knew the era which those homes were built, you would know that that's what's expected.
And in Sacramento, we have a lot of, historic homes, right? Or, not necessarily historic, but homes that were built, pre-1940s, 1930s, that a lot of people desire, right? And you have to know that they're going to have some little quirks here and there. So I think we go back, it feels like we've been doing this model for many of years, right? Hire a professional, somebody who's been doing this a long time, right? I mean, listen, there's always new agents who are going to come in the field, but there's a reason why a lot of us have been around a long time.
Hold on. AI is replacing all of us.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think AI, listen, I'm an AI guy. I think there's a lot of things that AI could be useful for, but if you just want to go on Google and buy a house through AI, good luck, right? I mean, especially if you want to have some situations where, who knows what condition that house is in, who knows what AI is going to tell you with the inspector, but listen, I'm pretty firm that I don't think AI is going to.
I saw something yesterday, and there's this mortgage company, Better, and they rolled out the software, and loans are going to be approved in 47 seconds. Can you believe that? I will say this, that would apply to maybe 1 in 10 loans that I talk to on a normal basis. So again, does that exist? I'm like you, the more technology that I can utilize to make my process and my client's process more efficient, I'm here for it. But make sure that you're doing yourself a favor in getting a trusted professional who's experienced to guide you and to educate you, that you have the ability to consult with too.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, we've been around a long time. Our goal is to have successful relationships with our clients, so they refer us to other clients, right? And that's how we typically work, right? We do obviously marketing and stuff like that, but a lot of our repeat business is from agents that basically trust us, right? Okay. Clients who have trusted us and they're telling their friends, right? We're not out there buying leads and stuff like that on a lot of situations. We're out there on referral based, and we're not going to just try to, make one deal happen, right? Because we want to have longevity in this business. So I think, it's crazy. This market has really changed. In
2026 is going to be a busier year transaction wise. So yeah, I mean, if this is the year you're going to buy a house, that's great. You should definitely make this your year, but be prepared. We're going to have to, do your due diligence up front, be prepared, do all the right stuff so that you can be a successful home buyer, not just a home buyer.
Yeah. Do we want to tap into a little bit of 49er stuff before we
go? Yeah, we can. I think we definitely want to bring in Mike Schumann to, talk about the free agency frenzy as well as the draft. Right? We also have March Madness coming up.
We got March Madness. We got the Masters coming up. A lot of there's some, the World Series classic, or not World Series, Baseball Classic has been pretty entertaining.
Let's go USA.
I don't know if you could say the Sacramento Kings or even the Golden State Warriors have been very entertaining for basketball right now. It's kind of tough.
Top 5 pick though.
Yeah. Let's hope for a top 5 pick for the Kings. They've done really good with all the draft picks that they've had in the past, so I'm expecting something.
It's a new era.
But a lot of good sports stuff. So I think in the next couple of weeks We'll bring in Mike Schumann. Hopefully he's enjoyed his Cabo trip or wherever he's been, and he'll be in good spirits to talk about the Niners and what's coming up in the sports world.